Hi, this is Steph with Belladonna Dyes, and today we're going to make a coral pink incline side fan fold. Using a washable marker and a piece of kite string, I mark out my pattern. And then I twist the shirt in front of me and I pleat along this line, making that line as straight as possible. I'm guessing these pleats are about an inch tall, and when you're making your pleats, you want to try to have them all the same height. Now that you have your line all pleated up, it's time to start securing it. And for this project, I'm using the tiny little baby hair rubber bands that I got from Walmart. You just want to continue to work on your pleats. Sometimes you will see me add additional pleats. I did not do that to this shirt. When you add the additional pleats, wherever you start that, they will create a V, and I didn't want that for this particular shirt. As I'm editing this and I'm looking at it, it sure does look sloppy. But that's the one wonderful thing about ice dyeing. It's very forgiving. So just keep on working your way all the way down to the end, securing it with those tiny little rubber bands. Now it's time for the fun part. We get to add the dye. So I took the shirt and I placed it down inside this strip of gutter. I picked the gutter up at Lowe's and it's 9 feet, 10 feet long. I think it's 9 feet, and it costs about 10 bucks. And I used a Sawzall and help, and I cut it down into these manageable size pieces. I cut one gutter just in half, so I had a nice long piece for really long projects. And then I cut one down into like 3 strips, and I cut a third gutter down into even smaller strips for the tiny projects. So since it's only $10, it's relatively affordable. You know, when you consider how much we spend on all the other dye stuff, you know, I was able to get 3 strips of gutter And when you have help, like somebody that has a truck, it makes it a lot easier. So you want to pick up everything you can right then and there. Typically for these single color dyes that go into the Dharma Dye Swatch playlist, I don't do inclines, or at least steep inclines, because the shirt just ends up turning one color. So what I'm doing is I'm adding the dye in thin little narrow strips, and I'm leaving a lot of white space. That way we can see the color splits. And then you want to give your project a quick little sprinkle of soda ash for good measure, and I'm only adding it where the dye is. I have found that if you add the ice to your project while it's still laying flat, you have less of a chance of all the ice just rolling downhill and knocking the dye off. I like to clean up as I go, so this is something to keep in mind. I'm going to be bringing my tote in to set the gutter in, right? And if I have dye and ice on the table, I'm going to set my tote down in it, and then I'm going to transport my tote into the house where it's warm and set it down. I don't want dye getting all over my house, so just be tidy and clean up as you go. Now I have this on an incline. That's what's going to create those pretty color streaks. A lot of us are having really cold temperatures, so right now I'm batching everything for 48 hours after the ice melts. It's been 5 days and this shirt is bone dry. We had lost power and I needed to leave the house, so I wasn't able to rinse this out on time. And that's okay that it's dry, nothing is happening at this point. You don't want to let your projects dry out, but if they do, don't panic. So you want to start by using cold water, and that rinses away any soda ash that might still be reacting within the fibers. In this case, nothing is reacting, it's dry. But you still want to go through the motions, and then gradually increase your water up to hot and rinse until the water runs pretty much clear. From here, I take it to the washing machine and I do however many hot water cycles it takes using Curolon. And when I check my hot water and the water is clear, I know I'm ready for my final hot water cycle using Milsoft, and Milsoft brings softness back into the fabric after the dyeing process. Then it goes in the dryer and we come back and we see the results. Well, here it is, guys. Here's our coral pink side fanfold incline ice dye after it's been washed and dried, and it's really pretty. I might do more inclines now that I'm using less dye because you do see some good color splits. So I'm going to try to explain how the shirt works so you understand how the incline works. So on the top side is where you see the high concentration. On the bottom side that's laying flat against the gutter is where you see all those streaks. So each pleat has a top side and then it goes down to a low side and then a top side and a low side. I hope that's making sense. So those dark points are where the dye was laid out into a strip, right? And then in between those are where it flowed, creating these soft sort of peachy pinky tones. This color is a really pretty color. So in high concentration, it is very orange and red, so you can really see the fuchsia influence. But where it's like on the underside and it's flowy, it has a really soft coral pink color. So when you're using the liquid, it's a very dark sort of orange color. I don't know if I would call it coral. It's just, it looks orange to me, like a reddish orangish. But in ice dyeing, it is a beautiful coral pink. And I do think that this would look really pretty with one of the turquoise colors, like Cayman Island green or something like that. Actually, I don't even think I'm saying that correctly. I don't think it's Cayman Island. I think it's like Cayman Isle green. Anyways, here is the liquid swatch against the ice dye so that you can see the difference in what they look like. So what do you guys think of coral pink? It sure is pretty. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up, and click the bell and set it to all. That way you get notified of future uploads. And remember, have fun tie-dyeing.